Stop overthinking things. This will only bring ruin to your life. You have to know that overthinking will stop you, and not following our instinct is not only not being at peace and confident in our abilities, but also making you weak and vulnerable. Overthinking is a form of self-torture that prevents us from living a full and fulfilling life. Marcus Aurelius says, "Do not worry about what does not depend on you. Whatever is up to you, do the best you can. What doesn't depend on you, don't worry about it." Overthinking is a type of thinking that can be detrimental to our mental and emotional health. It consists of ruminating or excessively analyzing past, present, or future situations, which can lead to feelings of anguish, sadness, nervousness, and lack of confidence. Overthinking can also interfere with our ability to make decisions, solve problems, and focus on our tasks. Let me tell you the story of Marco, who analyzed any situation in a phenomenal way and found a solution for almost everything. However, he also had a problem. He overthought everything. Marco cared about everything from the small things to the big things. He worried about his job, his relationships, his future, even the weather. Overthinking had him so overwhelmed that he couldn't enjoy life. One day, Marco had generated so much stress that he had physically externalized himself. He had canker sores, dermatitis, recurrent headaches, and he got the flu easily because the same stress lowered his immune system. His grandfather, who had been following in the philosophical footsteps of Stoicism for many years, asked him what was going on, to which Marco replied, "I worry about everything, even the things I couldn't control." The elder taught Marco to practice acceptance and focusing on the present. He told her to accept things as they were, without judging them, and to focus on the present moment rather than worrying about the past or the future. What do you think Marco did? He followed the advice of his grandfather, who proved to be a perfect example. It was difficult because he was already used to worrying about every detail of his life, whether or not it was solvable. He followed the advice and slowly began to stop overthinking. He began to accept things as they were and to focus on the present moment. One day, Marco was giving a presentation at his university when he forgot a slide. In the past, Marco would have been very concerned about this mistake. But thanks to the practice of acceptance and focusing on the present, Marco was able to simply accept the mistake and continue with the presentation, following his instinct and explaining what didn't show up. This even helped Marco with his grade. His teacher was amazed by the mastery of the content. It was at that moment that Marco understood that overthinking had been holding him back from reaching his potential. Okay, do you want to follow in Marco's footsteps, live in the present, find resilience, and avoid unnecessary stress? Well, before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to keep an eye out for when more Stoic tips are uploaded. Now, stay until the end of the video. I'll be giving 10 key points to avoid overthinking. 1. Embrace uncertainty. One of the main causes of overthinking is fear of the unknown. We worry about things we can't control, like the future or the opinions of others. However, uncertainty is an inevitable part of life. Accepting it will help us stop worrying about things we can't change. A curious thing we can take away from Buddhist philosophy is that it also teaches us to accept uncertainty. For Buddhism, life is impermanent and everything is constantly changing. The Stoics believed that uncertainty was an opportunity to practice acceptance. It teaches us that we can't control everything that happens and that we should accept things as they are, even if we don't like them. And no, accepting uncertainty doesn't mean you can't take steps to improve your life. It means that we must be prepared for unexpected changes and that we must accept things as they are, even if we don't like them. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that the only thing we can control are our own judgments, decisions, and actions. Everything else depends on external factors beyond our control. For this reason, we must accept with serenity what we have to live without regretting or resisting. By doing so, we free ourselves from the anxiety, fear, and frustration that uncertainty brings. 2. Practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on the negative or what hasn't happened yet, practice gratitude for what you have now. One of the main reasons we overthink is that we deceive ourselves into believing that something is missing, that something can go wrong, or that we haven't achieved enough to trust our abilities. This leads us into a vicious cycle of thoughts that makes us feel tired and unhappy. Marcus Aurelius advises us, remember all the good things you have in your life, big and small. Remember the people who love you, the job you have, the roof over your head, and the food on your table. Remember all the things you can be thankful for. Gratitude helps us get out of the mental rut and places us in the present, where life really happens. We can do a mental exercise to suggest our mind to focus on the positive things in our life and not so much on the bad ones. The practice is to be grateful for 3 things each day. They don't necessarily have to be big, just sincere. It can be things as simple as making tasty coffee, laughing, or feeling warm in a cold moment. Gratitude brings out the good in our lives, and it can transform the way we talk to ourselves from one of lack to one of abundance. 3. Surround yourself with positive people. Sometimes it's not just about thinking positively, it's also about having positive people around us to help us maintain a good attitude and see the bright side of life. When we surround ourselves with positive people, we're less likely to get carried away with overthinking. By surrounding ourselves with positive people, we will also be able to learn from their experiences and advice and adopt a more optimistic and rational outlook. Think we're on a battlefield. The people we surround ourselves with can have a huge influence on our thoughts and actions. When we surround ourselves with negative people, their thoughts and attitudes drag us down. We begin to think more negatively and view the world with more pessimism. This can increase stress and anxiety and can make it harder to stop overthinking. 4. Focus on the effort. Many times we worry too much about the future, its results, and the possible disappointments or failures that await us. This anticipation of the future can fill us with fear and make us lose focus on what we are doing. We focus more on the consequences of our actions than on the actions themselves. Marcus Aurelius says, everything that happens in the present moment. Don't worry about the past or the future. Focus on the present and do the best you can. This doesn't mean that we don't have goals or dreams, but that we recognize that the most important thing is the quality of our work, the honesty of our actions, and the virtue with which we face situations. Why lose focus? Thinking too much about the future will make us clumsy in the present. We will not focus well on our current effort to achieve what we want in the future. That's right. Projecting yourself into a time when you are not will ruin your plans. This focus on effort can free us from the anxiety of overthinking, allows us to be in the moment, to do our best without the pressure of what might happen, transforms our actions from simple means to an end into expressions of our character and commitment. 5. Practice meditation. Meditation is an ancient technique that consists of focusing attention on the present without judging or reacting to the thoughts that arise in the mind. According to Marcus Aurelius, practicing meditation can help us avoid overthinking, that is, the habit of turning things over without coming up with a solution. For this reason, Marcus Aurelius invites us to meditate regularly to free ourselves from unnecessary worries and live with more serenity and harmony. The Stoics practice meditation as a way to train the mind to focus on the present and accept what we cannot control. By meditating, we can observe our thoughts without judging them or getting attached to them, and thus free ourselves from unnecessary worries. To meditate, you just have to sit in a comfortable position and place and close your eyes. Not bad. Focus on your breathing. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. When you get distracted by a thought, simply refocus your attention on your breathing. You can practice this for a few minutes, and when you're done, open your eyes and become aware of your surroundings. With practice, you'll be able to meditate longer and with greater concentration. Stoic meditation can help you live a fuller and more fulfilling life. 6. Create a healthy routine. A healthy routine helps us reduce stress and anxiety, which are factors that can contribute to overthinking. A healthy routine includes getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, exercising regularly, and making time for activities we enjoy. You could start your day with a morning meditation. Reflect on your goals, values, and principles. Then, throughout the day, practice self-examination. Observe your thoughts and emotions without judging or reacting to them. Question whether they are rational, helpful, and consistent with your rational nature. If you detect any negative, irrational, or excessive thoughts, replace them with positive, rational, or moderate ones. At the end of the day, do a nightly checkup. Evaluate your behavior and your progress toward your goals. Acknowledge your accomplishments and your mistakes. In this way, we will be training our brains to take specific times to think about ourselves and life. It could be said that we would be making schedules to overthink so as not to cloud our minds with exaggeration. 7. Seek wisdom outside of yourself. When we feel overwhelmed by overthinking, it's essential to look for wisdom outside of ourselves. But how? Our minds can become a complex labyrinth where every attempt to find a way out leads to more confusion and analysis. This is the feature of overthinking, a cycle that begins and ends in our own thoughts, without offering us a clear and definitive solution. Seeking help is a wise and prudent action, according to Marcus Aurelius. In his Meditations, he wrote that no one should be ashamed to ask for advice or support when they need it, as it shows humility and recognition of one's limitations. In addition, seeking help allows you to learn from others, take advantage of their experiences and knowledge, and strengthen the bonds of friendship and cooperation. This insight may come from a friend with a fresh eye, the unbiased advice of a mentor, or the timeless wisdom found in literature. 8. Practice voluntary discomfort. Voluntary discomfort is a Stoic practice of deliberately exposing oneself to uncomfortable or unpleasant situations in order to strengthen the mind and spirit. Examples of voluntary discomfort include fasting, sleeping on the floor, showering in cold water, or dressing in simple clothing. In this case, of course, it would be subjecting ourselves to practices that make us overthink. However, it could also be things like trying something new that you find challenging, such as learning a new language, taking a dance class, or taking a solo trip. The goal of this practice is to reduce attachment to material pleasures, increase gratitude for what you have, and prepare yourself to face life's adversities with serenity and equanimity. Voluntary discomfort is not a form of self-flagellation or masochism, but an exercise in self-control and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't worry about difficulties. On the contrary, express yourself for them. Difficulties are an opportunity to grow and strengthen." 9. Take action. Sometimes overthinking is a way to avoid acting. If we worry too much about something, we may get stuck and take no action. When we feel overwhelmed by overthinking, it's important to take an action, even if it's a small action. This will help us feel more in control and reduce anxiety. Why is it so hard for us to make decisions and take action? What's holding us back? How can we overcome the fear, doubt, and insecurity that make us think about thinking? The answer is not simple, but you must be clear about what you want, what motivates you, what you are passionate about. If we believe we can do this, we will be more confident and determined to face challenges and obstacles. Remember to accept uncertainty, risk, and error as part of the learning and growth process. Marcus Aurelius says, "It is not a matter of repressing what we feel, but of channeling it constructively and adaptively." In this way, we face life's challenges with serenity and confidence, without wasting time worrying about what we cannot control. 10. Live in the moment. And the last key is to simply live in the moment. This is not only acting, it is also putting into practice the other keys and not being overwhelmed by excessive thoughts. Except to live. Leave behind everything we can't manipulate. The present moment is the only moment that exists. When we live in the moment, we are connected to reality and to ourselves. We can practice mindfulness at any time, from a simple hike to deep meditation. Well, remember that overthinking will only hold you back and not elevate your potential that is there. You just have to trust yourself. You can also rely on us to bring you Stoic advice. Subscribing is a way of trusting it. Well, now I'm saying goodbye.